Do you remember when the world believed Tupac's story had ended in Las Vegas? Now, newly uncovered footage of his body at the funeral challenges everything we've been told. What the camera captured wasn't closure. It was a secret buried in plain sight. One that could finally expose what really happened that night. The 14 seconds that shook hip-hop. In 2025, nearly 3 decades after Tupac Shakur's death, the internet was shaken again. A newly surfaced clip, grainy, low light, but unmistakable, appeared to show Tupac's body at what looked like a funeral viewing. The timing, the angle, and the people in the frame suggested something impossible. That there had been a secret ceremony, one never mentioned in official records, one that contradicted everything the world thought it knew about his cremation and memorials. Fans called it the most chilling 14 seconds in hip-hop history. Others called it proof. To understand why this footage is so explosive, you have to go back to the beginning, to the day the legend was silenced, and to the people who saw what really happened behind hospital doors long before the ashes and the myth. Tupac Amaru Shakur, poet, revolutionary movie star, was shot on September 7, 1996 in a Las Vegas drive-by after a confrontation inside the MGM Grand. He'd gone there with Suge Knight for the Mike Tyson fight. The plan was simple: celebrate, show face, fly back to LA. The reality unraveled in minutes. According to eyewitness accounts and police reports, Tupac and Suge were idling at a red light on Flamingo and Cavill when a white Cadillac pulled up beside their BMW. 13 rounds tore through the air. 4 bullets hit Tupac, 2 in the chest, 1 in the thigh, 1 in the arm. Sugar was grazed. By 11:20 p.m. he was being rushed to University Medical Center in critical condition. He would never leave alive. So, we jumped in the cab. She called Yasmin and the assistant Molly. And Yasmin didn't know what was going on cause it went through voicemail Pac's phone. But that's not the story of Gobi. Emrahim remembers Gobi wasn't just a filmmaker. He was Tupac's creative partner, a man who directed his music videos and built his visual legacy. He was there through the chaos of California Love, Hit Up, and 2 of America's Most Wanted. He was there the night the gunfire erupted. And, more importantly, he was one of the first from Tupac's circle to reach the hospital. Yasmin made a couple of calls, called us back and said, "Go to University Hospital and wait there until we get there." So, we darted to University Hospital and Tracy and I walked into the ER waiting room, and it was David Kenner, Sugi's mom and dad, Reggie Wright, and maybe a few other death row associated people, and Kadata Jones and Jamala on the Payaneses crying. When Gobi walked through those glass doors, there were no press cameras, no detectives crowding the hallway, just silence and fear. He says he stood shoulder to shoulder with Suge Knight's parents, with Afanai Shakur's assistants, with Kadata Jones, Tupac's fiancée, who was sobbing by the payphone. They were waiting for word. Then a nurse appeared. His right lung was shot out, so we had to remove his right lung. And for the next 12 hours, he's going to go through a series of reparative operations. The clinical tone of the nurse's voice didn't hide the truth. Tupac's body was broken. The surgery that followed was brutal. His right lung was removed, his chest cavity repaired, his breathing machine adjusted hour by hour as his vitals sank. And yet, in those first nights, hope lingered. Gobi and the Outlaws, Tupac's tight inner crew, stayed in rotating shifts. Some nights, they guarded the hospital entrances themselves, terrified that someone might try to finish the job. We did 6 nights, and the 6 nights I was there were death threats, undercover FBI agents, a police force that did not want to cooperate. What Gobi describes is chaos. Unmarked cars outside, hospital security stretched thin, strangers appearing in the hallways, asking questions no one wanted to answer. By the 5th night, the Fruit of Islam, the paramilitary arm of the Nation of Islam, took over security. That's how dangerous the atmosphere had become. And then on September 13, 1996, at 4:03 p.m., Tupac was gone. Officially, he was cremated the next day, September 14th, at the request of his mother, Afanai Shakur. There was no public viewing, no coffin, no gravesite, just a private gathering on a Malibu beach. Bonfires, drumming, and the scattering of ashes into the Pacific Ocean. Afeni didn't want his body desecrated or turned into a spectacle. She wanted peace. Reports from the Shakur family and death row insiders confirmed that the cremation was immediate, supervised, and private. But something about that timeline has never made sense. No mortuary ever confirmed handling Tupac's body before the alleged cremation. The crematory worker supposedly responsible for the process quit and disappeared. And now, decades later, the leaked clip appears to show an open casket viewing with a body matching Tupac's facial structure and tattoos surrounded by candles and a handful of mortars. If true, this would mean the world has been told a partial story. To understand why the footage is so controversial, you have to understand how tightly the Shakur family controlled Tupac's final rites. According to the official records and eyewitness accounts, the sequence was this. September 13th, death declared at UMC. September 14th, private cremation in Los Angeles. September 15th, 16, private memorial on a secluded Malibu beach. September 22nd, public ceremony in Harlem organized by the Nation of Islam. No mention of a viewing, no mention of a funeral home, no cameras. Yet, the new footage believed to have been shot in a small mortuary room in Los Angeles seems to contradict that. The candles in the background match the arrangement style of Angela's funeral home, where Tupac's body was reportedly transported briefly before cremation. Angeles has long denied that any footage was ever taken inside. Still, old rumors smoked cigars and played his music under the Malibu sky. Accounts from attendees describe a small circle of 30 to 50 people. Afeni Shakur, the Outlaws, Jada Pinkett Smith, and Snoop Dogg were there. Some say there were drums and sage smoke. Others recall laughter between tears. That night birthed one of hip-hop's most shocking myths, the Ash story. The Outlaws, including Young Noble and Eddie Mean, later admitted that they had mixed Tupac's ashes with marijuana and smoked them, claiming it was a final tribute inspired by his lyric, "Cremated, Last Wishes, and Smoke My Ashes." They've confirmed this act repeatedly, most recently in interviews from 2024, framing it as a grief ritual. But Ani Shakur's family disputed it, calling it unauthorized and disrespectful. If the leaked clip is real, though, it raises a disturbing question. How could his ashes have been smoked if his body hadn't yet been cremated? The footage is timestamped September 14th, 1996, the same day the cremation supposedly occurred. Experts analyzing the video note that the lighting and room decor match early 9s mortuary styling common in Los Angeles. A silk cloth covers the lower body. The visible tattoos, particularly the Machiavelli and outlaw markings, appear consistent with autopsy photos leaked years later. But there's a catch. The position of the scars doesn't match the official autopsy report. On the chest, where the medical examiner documented a 3 inches incision from emergency surgery, the clip shows no visible wound, only smooth, unblemished skin under makeup. Either the footage was staged or the body had been cosmetically reconstructed for viewing, which would mean a mortuary was involved and a viewing did take place after all. The last 24 hours, September 7th, 1996. Las Vegas glowed that night. A restless city shimmering in desert heat, swollen with anticipation. Mike Tyson was back in the ring. Death Row Records was in the building and Tupac Shakur was alive, loud, and laughing. By midnight, he'd be bleeding in the passenger seat of a BMW, gasping for air as chaos swallowed the strip. Every minute of that night has been dissected. Yet, even now, after decades of theories and police reports, the timeline doesn't fully add up. The day began like celebration. Tupac woke late that morning in his suite at the Luxor Hotel where he was staying with his fiancée Kadata Jones, daughter of Quincy Jones and half-sister to Rashida. The room, according to later interviews, smelled like cigarette smoke and sandalwood, his ritual before any major appearance. He called Suge Knight around 2 p.m. They were supposed to meet at MGM Grand by 7. Pac wanted to watch Tyson knock out Bruce Seldon. Tyson had promised to walk into the ring to Can't See Me, one of PA's tracks from All Eyes on Me. At that point, the tension with Death Row Records had already reached breaking point. According to filmmaker and insider Gobi Rahim, Tupac had fired his Death Row legal team just 2 weeks before. including attorney David Kenner and security boss Reggie Wright Jr. And it was that day, a couple of weeks before Vegas, that he fired David Kenner and his legal team. And I believe he fired Reggie Wright and Wright Way either the same day or the day after. And it was obvious he was ready. Pac was ready to fly the coup. That meant by the time he landed in Vegas, Tupac was effectively operating without official protection. The bodyguards assigned by Death Row were loyal to Knight, not him. And in the weeks leading up to September 7th, Knight had been pressuring him to stay in line, to keep recording, to put loyalty above freedom. By the time Tupac and Sugi entered the MGM Grand, it was about 8:30 p.m. M. Tyson's fight lasted just 2 minutes. The crowd roared, cameras flashed, and in the chaos near the lobby elevators, one of Sugar's men, Trayvon Trey D. Lane, spotted Orlando Baby Lane Anderson, a known cry from Compton. Anderson had robbed a Death Row associate weeks earlier, snatching a medallion that symbolized the mob Peru Bloods. That chain had become a line in the sand, an insult Tupac wasn't willing to ignore. He stepped up. "You from the South Side?" he asked, then punched Anderson in the face. Within seconds, Sugar and others joined in, stomping him as casino surveillance rolled silently. The entire brawl lasted no more than 13 seconds, but it sealed Tupac's fate. The hotel security separated the groups. No arrests, no citations, just heat. Anderson left MGM humiliated, vowing revenge. Tupac and Suz left grinning, certain they'd handled business. They drove back to Luxor. Pac changed clothes, switching from the black vest he wore to the fight into a white tank top, gold chains glinting against his chest. Kadata told him not to go back out, but Sug was throwing an after-party at Club 662, Death Row's own spot on East. "Flamingo, I'll just roll through. Say what's up," he told her. Even then, he felt something was off. Gobi called it tension in the air. Tupac himself, according to those close to him, felt like he was being pulled toward danger, but went anyway out of obligation. At 10:30 p.m., they left the Luxor in a black BMW 7550 Illinois sedan. Sugar driving, Tupac in the front passenger seat. Behind them, several cars filled with Outlaws members and Death Row affiliates. They planned to head east to Club 662, but the strip was electric. Crowds pouring into the streets, traffic choking every lane. Around 11:05 p.m., a group of women in a white Cadillac pulled up beside the BMW, shouting and laughing. Tupac flirted, flashing his ring and smiling for a moment that still feels surreal in hindsight. A few blocks later, they hit the light at Flamingo Road and Cover Lane. That's where everything ended. Witnesses describe it as quick, almost clinical. A white Cadillac, different from the one with the women, rolled up on the right. A window, doctors removed bullets, stitched arteries, and placed him on a ventilator. For the next 6 days, he fought. According to hospital records summarized by the Clark County coroner, Tupac underwent 3 major surgeries, including the removal of his right lung. He was placed in a medically induced coma. But the people outside those hospital walls, the ones guarding him, praying, arguing, tell a far darker story. Gobi Rahim was one of them. He says he arrived at the hospital within an hour of the shooting. Inside, the waiting room became a battleground, not of fists, but of allegiance. Suja Knight's team on one side, Tupac's family and friends on the other. Afeni Shakur arrived the next morning, her presence transforming the mood from panic to defiance. She'd seen too much death in the movement. Her son wasn't going to become another statistic. But as hours turned into days, hope evaporated. Doctors reported stabilization one moment, severe complications the next, blood loss, collapsed lungs, and infection. On the 6th day, according to Gobi, the fruit of Islam showed up. Men in suits, quiet but armed, guarding the halls as if preparing for war. Hours later, as Gobi was driving through California desert toward a video set, a radio DJ's voice broke the silence. "We have breaking news. Rapper Tupac Shakur has died in Las Vegas at 4:03 p.m. He pulled over. The desert felt empty. The official cause, respiratory failure and cardiac arrest from multiple gunshot wounds. But here's where the contradictions begin. Gobi said a nurse told him that same morning that Tupac was 13% better. Not fully healed, but improving. So, what changed in those few hours? Some insiders have long believed that Tupac's removal from life support wasn't just medical. It was decided, possibly due to fear of further violence. Shakur reportedly instructed doctors not to prolong his suffering, but other sources claim there were heated arguments among family, doctors, and death row staff. Suge Knight later told Vibe magazine that Tupac was talking and joking just before he died, though medical charts indicate he never regained full consciousness. Which version is true? No one knows because no independent witness outside of death row and UMC staff ever confirmed what really happened in that ICU room. And then there's the strange matter of the missing time between 4:03 p.m. and 7:00 p.m. Police logs show that the official death announcement wasn't made until 2 hours later, long after the body had been removed from the trauma unit. According to one archived Las Vegas Sun report, hospital staff were ordered not to speak to press or release details until family and label representatives gave clearance. That window from 4 to 7 p.m. is when some believe the now-leaked funeral footage was recorded. The cover-up. The night Tupac died didn't just end a life, it fractured history. For nearly 30 years, that fracture has widened with every rumor, every conflicting statement, every new discovery that seemed to rewrite what had already been written. But this time, the evidence doesn't come from a lyric, a fan theory, or a whispered sighting. It comes from a camera. The alleged funeral footage, now verified to have been shot on analog tape, consistent with 1990 Sony camcorders, has forced the world to re-examine everything about September 13th, 1996. Because what it shows could only have been filmed inside a controlled space. There are no fans, no reporters, no chaos, just silence, a flicker of candlelight, and a body that shouldn't have been there. If this clip is authentic, it would mean one of two things. Either the official story of Tupac's cremation was false, or someone documented his body illegally in violation of his mother's explicit orders. Within hours of his death at 4:03 p.m., the hospital had gone into lockdown. University Medical Center logs record that security access to the trauma ward was restricted to family, 2 death row representatives, and attending physicians. Yet, the transfer record, released years later through a Las Vegas Review-Journal public records request, lists one unverified name, F. James Media. No journalist has ever claimed that. Identity. Digital restoration experts analyzing the leaked clip in 2025 noted a faint reflection on a glass cabinet. Zoomed, stabilized, and color-corrected, it reveals a man in scrubs holding a shoulder-mounted camera, equipment consistent with what professional documentarians used in 1996. The implication is chilling. Someone inside the hospital filmed the body. But why? Those shifts went on for 6 nights, meaning Gobi was present nearly every day Tupac was alive after the shooting. But his testimony suggests that during that period, strangers entered the hospital, posing as staff or investigators, and that by the end, security was being run by the Fruit of Islam rather than law enforcement. By the morning of September 13th, he left Las Vegas, reassured by a note that Tupac was 13% better. Hours later, on the drive to Los Angeles, he heard it on the radio. Tupac was dead. That 13%, whatever it meant, became one of the most haunting numbers in the mythology. Because if he was better that morning, how did he die by afternoon? Afeni Shakur's reaction, according to a 1997 Ebony interview, was immediate. She ordered every negative destroyed, every tape confiscated. "My son's image is not a commodity," she said. And for decades, it wasn't until now. In mid-2025, a former Las Vegas Metro Police technician anonymously delivered a high-8 tape to an independent archivist in Compton. The technician claimed the footage had been stored in an evidence box mislabeled Vehicle Photos BMW 750 Illinois. The archivist verified the tape's age through oxide decay tests and digitized it. Within weeks, fragments began circulating online. Authorities have neither confirmed